Good evening. I have to say Happy Mother's Day. Sorry. So Happy Mother's Day
Aw,
to all the mothers out there.
yeah, happy Mother's Day. It's Mother's Day today, but it'll be
Yeah.
about it'll
It,
be a little while late for people.
yeah.
But happy Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Yes, absolutely. So welcome back to the Abundance Street podcast. I'm Janice Luke and I'm here with the lovely.
April Capri. Happy to be here.
Yeah, awesome. I'm always excited to do these. It's been great. So it's awesome.
Absolutely. Same here.
Yeah. So it'll be about a week after Mother's Day. So again, happy
Yeah,
Mother's Day, y'all, and hope you had a blessed day. So you all
absolutely.
deserve it, all the hardworking mothers out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Shout out to the mothers that aren't here and the mothers that may have lost kids as well.
absolutely. All right.
Absolutely. All
So who do
right.
we have for tonight?
We have a trailblazing business mentor for introverted coaches who dare to redefine her path in pursuit of fulfilling her life. After years in education, she broke free from the constraints of traditional employment to start her own ventures. Now, on her second business as a full time coach, she empowers introverts to embrace their strengths and fill their calendars with paying clients using her proven impact method. When she's not transforming lives, you'll find her enjoying the expat life in Mexico, proving that it's never too late to pursue what your heart desires. So awesome. We have Jen Joe. I love it. I gotta find
Yeah,
out what this expat lifestyle is too.
right. Jen.
Hi,
Hey,
Jen.
Jen.
Hello.
Welcome.
You.
How are you today?
I am doing great. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Oh, thank you. We're
Nice.
so glad that you're able to come on with us tonight.
Absolutely.
Yes. So wherever you want to start in your journey, let us know about you.
Well, let's just start with who I help. So I am a coach for introverted coaches, and I help them sign their first paying clients. Whether they've been certified or not, whether they hate sales, whether they hate social media, I can still help them. So that is not where my life started, though. That's not where my career started. I have a long career as an educator before I got into this field. And moving up in the field of education, everything from a teacher to an administrator to consulting, and then realizing like that path, that traditional path, was just never going to give me the flexibility and the time freedom that I wanted. So I actually hired my first coach to help me with figuring out what other options were available. What else could I do? I felt very limited with the fact that I had a degree in education. You know, it's like you get your degree in education, then you work in education until you retire. So it just like wanting to expand what was even available and possible to me. And I remember sharing my vision with her, with my coach, of like what I wanted to do. And I felt so silly saying it out loud because it sounded like, who does that? But I basically told her, I was like, I wanna help people and I want to help them achieve their goals. And it was something that came to me like at least a year prior to having a coach. And I just didn't know like what that was or if that was possible, what that looked like. And she said, Jen, that's called coaching. I was like, I don't know. I feel like what we're doing is different. It doesn't, I don't know. I don't want it to look like this. I want to be with a group of like ladies and stuff and just help them. And she's like, "Yep, that's called group coaching." And it took me a while to kind of wrap my head around it and be okay and accept that. Okay, yes, this is the thing. This is, once I started learning more about it, I was like, "Yeah, this feels like what I want to be doing." So then getting started was rough, let's say the least. Getting started on that journey, but eventually I did get to the place where I was able to make a living from it and eventually transition to doing it full time. So that's what I do now, helping other
Wow.
people shorten that struggle bus period to get to
Whew,
the point where they are actually signing clients and getting to help their ideal people. Mhm.
awesome.
Good.
Congratulations on the
Thank
start.
Congratulations.
you.
And yeah. So I'm also in education, so I definitely relate to your journey. I have a very similar one where I do have my I never was an admin, but I have my certification as an administrator. But I could definitely relate. Um, and I'm so happy for you that you're able to make that transition and now you're helping people. You used to help your students and now you're helping everyone. So that's
Yes, yes.
awesome. I love
I
it.
think that part of like wanting to serve and wanting to help and to be of service to others and help them on whatever journey that may be, right? For my students, then to the teachers that I supported and the schools, was still there and was very much something that I knew I needed to have in whatever career I went into, which also made it challenging to think of like what else would fulfill me in that way, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So do you help, who do you help? Like, is it you just target businesses or just anyone? Or do you help them
No,
like, oh, go ahead, like
I
transition or
work with
something?
I work with individuals, so I don't work
Okay.
with organizations. I work with individuals. So some of those individuals are other educators that are looking for a transition, right? They could a lot of social workers and therapists who want to expand their practice, right, and add coaching into it. People who just know that what they're doing right now isn't a good fit, and they want to be of service in this way. Some people come to me and they're like, they just like I started, they have this vision of what they want to be doing and they're not ready to call it coaching, right? So I just help them on their journey and find the language that, and then they eventually do get comfortable with the term of being a coach and whatever type of coaching that may be. That might be a financial coach, that might be a health coach, that might be a Christian coach for women, right? So a bunch of different niches I've been able to support. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So like, could you walk through like, so if someone were to like book a call with you, kind of what's your process of like, how do you onboard them and what kind of things do y'all discuss?
Yeah.
Like how to
So
help them?
during the consultation call, that's a completely free call that I have with them just to better understand their needs. Because prior to helping coaches, I was a career coach. So some people still come because they want some career guidance. So asking a bunch of questions to understand what they've done, what they've tried, where they are, what they're looking for, and making sure that it's going to be a good fit for me to work with them. If they are coming to me to become coaches, I explain my process. It's called the impact method and what I do and what I expect of them, what they need to be ready to commit to so that I can guarantee their success. Because I am of the mind of like, if I can't ensure that I can take you to the point where you are making money doing this, then I don't want to just help you just in theory, right? Because I feel like that's what happens a lot in like, especially certification programs. It's like, we're teaching you the theory of coaching. In theory, you should be able to help someone with this. I'm like, no, no, no. I want you to be able to go out there and help somebody right now. We're going to practice helping people. We're going to get those results. We're going to be able to talk about the ways that you're getting stuck, and I'm going to coach you on how to support them, right? And we're going to actually get you to the point where you're making money, because it's not all about the money, but without the money, then you have no other option than to stay doing what you've been doing, right? And I know a lot of people like go into it like me, they want this to be a career. And for it to be a career, you need to be able to sustain yourself financially from it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Can you
Yeah.
talk about some of the, I guess, like the obstacles and just like the transition? Because I think it's like a whole mental transition. Of course, it's a financial transition when you go from working to 40 to working, you're 40, or which is really 80 in entrepreneur terms. How was that transition for you? You say you was on the struggle bus. I know that way too well.
Yeah, so I always say like I hired that coach in 2016, right? And then I finally came around to accepting that this is what I wanted to do and started telling people in 2017. And then in 2018, I went and got certified, right? I don't know if you guys are familiar with the idea or the concept of certification, which is essentially just someone deciding, hey, these should be the standards. It's not regulated like in therapy or counseling or something like that.
Basically, it's not a
So
license.
yeah, it's not a license, even when it's ICF accredited, right, which is the biggest licensing body in this field. It's still not truly accredited. Now, and I think that's where people get things mixed up because they think, oh, like if I have this certification now, I'm more valuable, as if it's like equivalent to a degree. And it's like, nope. The only thing that matters is can you help the person? Can you get them results, right? And I think that's where the struggle bus part came in, because it's like in theory, yes, I got the certification and I should be able to help you, but if I haven't helped anybody, how do I really know? Right? And how do I feel comfortable accepting payment, not knowing that I can get you those results? And I think that's where a lot of certification programs fail, because they don't create the container for you to actually get that real world practice. And it's one of the things that I made sure I did for my clients, help them get that real world practice. Because my background in education and teacher training, I'm like, the only way you learn is actually doing it, right? Like I can only, we can talk theory all day, but until you're in it, like you're not going to really learn. So that period of just getting comfortable saying that this is what I was doing, and then gaining the practice to believe that I could help someone That's where the struggle bus part came in. And just even knowing, like, where do I find people that want my support? Right. Like, it's like, yeah, people are like, yeah, in social media marketing. And that, like, that was the thing. It's like, but I'm an introvert. Like, I don't want to go live every day. I don't like that. Just, I don't like that. I don't want to do that. I don't have that energy. And I'm working a full-time job, right? Like, I'm working 40 plus, really. And Janice, you're in education, it's not even 40. It's like well over 40. And then I was commuting an hour each way. I'm like, when do I find time to do this? And I think that's another part that people struggle with. It's like you really have to want it. You really have to want it, because this is literally me waking up a few minutes earlier to check the site where I found a lot of my clients from, right? Like checking that multiple times a day. And then this is me doing a video talking about a concept in my car when I felt inspired to share something, and being willing to let it be messy. Or like, oh my gosh, when I look at the videos of me back in like 2019, oh man, it's rough, but I love that version of me because she's like doing it, right? Like she's showing up and she's trying her hardest to tell people about what she's doing, and she's showing up and like not really making money from it yet, but believing in what was possible. And because I was willing to do it messy and whenever I could fit it in, and I'm willing to take out my whole Sunday to coach clients, right? Because that's when I had time. I was coaching one client Tuesday through Friday, like after work, because I was like, I had an hour commute. So I'm like, okay, I got this one from 6 to 7 before I got to go eat and just get ready for bed because I got to wake up at 5, right? And then all day Sunday, I'm dedicating to this. And I was willing to do it because I had the vision of how good it could be once I got to the point where this was the main thing that I was doing. And I couldn't ever get to that point if I wasn't willing to sacrifice now.
That is so
Wow.
powerful.
That is really
Congratulations on all
powerful.
that. Yeah. So flowers
Definitely
to you for your
congratulations.
hard work, and working through all that and waking up, in the morning early to check your social media. I know that all too well where I wake up before, the crack of dawn, and check things and for my side hustle and everything. But you did the work and you were consistent. And you said, like you said, you did it messy. You're probably scared too, I'm sure.
Oh my God. I think this is the biggest misconception that people have, I feel, and this is why people give up. They think that the self-doubt that's present is somehow wrong. Like, oh, if I was truly meant to do this, then I wouldn't be feeling this nervous or awkward, and I wouldn't doubt myself. I'd just be good at it. It's like, no. The self-doubt it's supposed to be there. It's part of the journey. You're doing something completely new. You're stepping out of your comfort zone. You're doing something that most people don't do. You're going against the mold. I can't tell you how many people just didn't understand the choices that I was making and the judgment that I got. I mean, I literally sold my house at one point. I downsized in preparation for what was to come. Again, before the clients were even there. I was willing to do this, and I declared that I would have this business, and I didn't want to have to keep my steady job, my secure job, to be able to pay my mortgage, because it was a hefty payment. I was like, I can lower my expenses and I could leave my job sooner, right? And I could, and this was back in 2019. And I tell you, in 2019, by the end of the year, I made about $2,000, which is ridiculous. So that who's living off of any $2,000,
Oh,
right?
wow.
But the following year, 2020, I exceeded, like I matched my job's income, right? In
Awesome.
less time. Like I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, keeping my job is holding me back. Of course I'm going to go into this full time now, right? But I declared that in 2019 that that's what I was going to do, because once I made those first dollars, I was like, okay, I know what I need to do now. I got it. I cracked the code. Like this works, and I'm gonna go and believe in it. And then that's when I was willing to put in the time right before I saw the flow, like willing to dedicate my Sundays to it, and work through a lot of that self doubt. Just to say, okay, we got to keep showing up. We got to keep doing it because this works, and I'm so in love with the vision of what I'm creating.
Wow.
That's so
That's
awesome.
so super powerful because you didn't, like, just because you didn't hit the ground running like most people kind of think or expect or almost required, because if it doesn't work instantly, people quit. Oh, this ain't working. Let me go back to work. And they just kind of give up or pivot or change it. But you kept like a steady pace, and it worked. And it's power in that, because you're doing what you actually like to do. Like, it brings you joy. You're doing it on your terms, and it's yours. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
I think
awesome.
people give up way too soon. Because I
Yeah,
think they just expect it because they see people marketing it as, oh my
yeah,
God, you should do this. And then within weeks, I made this money. Or
right.
the
Mhm.
following year, I hit 100,000. It's like, no, that's, I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying for most people, that's just not the journey.
Right, that's true. And you know what? Shout out to the vision, because I know that I have a creative mind as well, and I see a vision with things, like the podcast, my other businesses and whatnot. And I see the end goal. Like, I see the vision that I kind of work my way toward, backwards and then toward that goal. So,
Mhm.
and I think that you have a similar path or similar way of doing things. And so, and that's a God-given vision. So shout out to that. So were there people around you that when you told your vision to, how do they respond to you? Are they say you're crazy, or do they support you, or?
I think they were supportive in the way that they could be, right? Because this is not their path, this is not their journey. They don't
Right.
necessarily understand. So they would be like, "Oh yeah, what was that thing? Clubhouse." They were like, "Oh yeah, there's this thing, Clubhouse. You should be on Clubhouse." Right? Like, so that's their way of being supportive, of like telling me the things that they see, and I'm like, "Okay, all right, thank you guys."
Right.
But I don't think they fully got it until like I did it. I think they trusted I would do it though, because they just knew I'm pretty persistent.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those rare breeds that actually follows through on the things that they say. My timeline tends to be a little off, but I definitely am someone that I'm like, if I said that's what I was gonna do, I'm gonna do it. Right. And I just wasn't willing to give up on this until I actually did do it. Because I knew I would always want to, right? Like it would
So
never, that desire would never go away.
yeah. So
It's
good.
the determination for me, like, and
Yeah.
also shout out to the execution. Like, we research until our eyes cross and never execute. And like you said, like, that spirit of doubt comes on you, like, this isn't gonna work, this isn't gonna work, but you never tried, and you never like consistently tried. Like you said, you did that almost 2 years before you know what I mean, before you started really getting on like a steady pace with the income. So I think that's great.
The other thing is my willingness to invest, right?
Oh yeah.
I was willing to invest multiple times. So my first investment was probably like $2,000, and I was super scared about investing $2,000 because I was like, oh my gosh, that's like a lot of money, I don't know. And then I didn't see necessarily the return that was advertised, when I was
Mm.
into that program. And I showed up to do it, and I was like, okay, that didn't work. And then trusting myself to invest again in something else, like that was hard, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to pay another $2,000 and see what happens. But just my willingness to keep on trying until I found the thing that worked for me, and taking what I could. And I'm not saying the first program was awful. It's like I just wasn't ready to implement at that level, or to get the kind of results that they were saying, for whatever reason, right? My willingness to show up every single day on social media, I wasn't there, right? I wasn't willing to do that, and that was probably a key factor in that program. But my willingness to keep on implementing. And the second program that I bought, I watched that training. Oh my gosh, how many times did I go back and I was like, I'm getting the results. I was just committed to doing every single thing in that program, and it worked, right? But just willing to fill in the gaps. Like, there's a lot of things that we don't know, and making sure that we are following someone who's done what we want to do, and done it in a way that we want to do it, that feels like aligned to us, is super important in speeding up that process.
Right. That's so powerful. It has to align with you and your personality, the way you do things, because you're not the other person, and you're not the coach. It has to work for you. So it's good that you fell into that niche, and that you were able to make it work, and you're successful, and you're doing really well now. So
Definitely.
congratulations.
I think it's necessary, because like you were saying, like, friends and family, they kind of don't get it. You know what I mean? Like, entrepreneurship is kind of like a lonely space until you get around the right people that you can really like have certain conversations with. So being in like mentorships, classes, having coaches, I think is extremely valuable. So you're not just like out here alone, just trying to figure it out, feeling like you're going crazy.
Because your family loves you, and their desire is to keep you safe, right?
Yeah.
So the idea of me telling my father, like, I'm actually not going to go for this job that's going to pay me $30,000 more a year. Instead, I'm going to sell my house and move into a tiny crappy apartment. And then I'm going to use the money from the sale of my house to invest in this mastermind program. Like that,
Okay, that was a whole
sorry.
conversation.
He's the most chill person they got. Because he's
Okay.
like, you sure you don't want to take that job? Like, you sure? Like, yeah. So, I think I've been the black sheep of my family in that way that people are just like, well, Jen's gonna do what Jen's gonna do. So we're just gonna love her through it. Like, pray for the best.
So did you have a family yourself, or were you single doing this, or?
I think that's a huge factor as well. The fact that I am a single person and I have a dog, right? Like that's who I'm responsible to, taking care of my big dog. And I knew that if I waited to do this lifestyle that I wanted of like being in business for myself and then eventually moving abroad and everything, like it was only going to get harder once I had the partner and the child and everything like that. So I was like, yeah, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to do it.
Yeah, all things to consider. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
also, I think, did you mention earlier that uh, your consulting business now, was it branched off of something you were already doing in the education space, or?
So I was for my first year teaching. Actually, it was the worst thing when I was a first year teacher, but I saw how it helped the trajectory of my career. I had to make my own curriculum. So I was at a charter school, and they were basically like, oh, well, we have these textbooks, but we don't really want you to teach that curriculum. So you can use the stories, but like you're not really teaching this. I'm like, what is happening as a first year teacher? So that idea of writing curriculum and designing and understanding standards and everything like that, that eventually helped me throughout my years of teaching, eventually to being an administrator and understanding how to coach teachers through how to use materials. And then I was consulting on the side. I had a teacher that I had coached and supported who moved up, and she was at a different school district, and she brought me in to work on a project because she was like, no, this person knows their stuff. Like everything I learned from this person, like spoke very highly of me. So I started doing that for that school district. And then, because it was a school district, they needed me to be a formal business for them to be able to pay me to do this work. So that's how my consulting business started. Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I could definitely relate because I help students, high school students transition from like the high school into adulthood, whether it be college, career, military, and I also help students that have special needs. And so, me networking, I've connected with the Workforce Solutions, and I now a business has been birthed for me as well, so I can contract my services for job coaching with to the state, and so I can totally relate to that. That's so cool. So shout out to
I,
businesses being birthed from the 9 to 5.
I think
Yeah.
I believe that's the fastest way when you're trying to start a business and your goal is like truly at that time my goal was like, hey, I just need more control over my time. So I want to work from home. This is before COVID. So I'm like, I just want to work from home and I don't want to have to commute anymore. And like this would give me time to work on the business I really want to work on, which is the coaching. So that was like my first way to do that, to be able to say, okay, I have some income coming in from this consulting thing. I can do more of this and let go of the job. So that was like the first step. However, there were mistakes made about how I left my job in the sense of I did not have a safety net when I left. I was just so done. I was like, okay, this thing brings in money. Okay, let's go do more of this and let go of the job. But then, of course, I didn't think about, oh, there's health insurance to consider. And, these people don't pay you for 3 months at a time. Where's the safety net, right?
Right.
So I made sure that when I shut down that consulting business and went back to the school district because I wanted some more steady, regular income while I built up the coaching business. Then when I left the second time, I was like, okay, we got to leave right. We got to make sure these things are in place. So one of the things that I help my clients do is like, okay, I get it. You're excited. You want to leave your job, but let's make sure these things are in place before we leave the job. So we leave and we don't have to come back.
That's
Wow.
awesome. That was
Yeah,
smart.
Yeah.
that is smart. That's so powerful to do that because a lot of people just, like you said, are so enthusiastic about, being able to leave and stuff, but they don't take into consideration, hey, do you have a little bit saved up just in case, or your insurance, that kind of thing. That could be a big
Yeah.
factor in it. So,
My thing is using it's the transferable skills like that you do get from being at a job, at a 9 to 5, and just I think you can use those skills and like you said, make them work how you want them to work for you. They're still your skills. Somebody said like look at your employer as your first client, and I really resonate with that.
Yeah, it really is. And if you can do contract yourself out to other companies doing the
Yeah.
same work that you're doing, that's the best way to go ahead and get started. If your goal is truly just I want to have more control of my income and more control of my time, then definitely start doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
And base it off of your gift too, of what you're good at. I mean, a lot of people try to, I don't know, maybe try to think that try to learn something new and it may not work because it's not really their gift. And so speak on that. How do you help people through that? Like, do they try to go to every little shiny object or, um,
What lean into their gifts?
yeah, like what they're good at to make, do you help
Yeah.
them
So
through that?
Especially when we're talking about coaches,
Hmm.
they're stressing about what niche they should pick, like who they should work with, what they should offer. And I'm like, as of right now, that's a big question in your head, and you're going to go through so many iterations of this. I want you to work with clients and really lean into what do you enjoy, right? Like what topics are really feeling natural to you. Another way to think about it is who were you 5 years ago, right? And I think that's why my niche is so perfect, is it's like, yeah, 5 years ago, that was me on the struggle bus. So I know what it's like. I've been through that journey. So I can very much relate closely to those who are doing that. From that, people have really been able to like be like, okay, this is the thing I'm really passionate about. And it works very well because of my past experience doing XYZ. And I get to bring in this other thing that I really like and really craft something that's unique to them.
That's awesome. I love how you niche down to introverts too, because I know that's something that I really struggle with. Like when you have like a broad area, you know what I mean? Like you're a coach, you know what I mean? Like it may be like a specific skill set, but there's a lot of different demographics that can take advantage of that. So when people tell you like pick your niche, it's so hard and it's stressful. And I think it like holds people back. So I like how you say just you don't have to narrow it down and start narrow. You can start broad and kind of figure it out as
Yeah.
long as you know that you're doing it to figure it out at some point.
There is no way I could have said this was my niche when I started. Like there's no I didn't know like this is the thing, right? And it was only through years of working with clients and really understanding how why listening to other marketers was really hard for me because I couldn't relate to some of the things that they were telling me, and
Yeah.
then how my process really was different. I was like, oh, it's because I'm an introvert and I don't want to do all that. I don't have it in me to do it in that way. I had to find my own way. And so of course I want other introverts to feel like they can do this too, right? Like you don't have to pretend to be this other type of person or this other way just so that you can have this business. You can have this business just as you are, right?
So
Your
true.
intention is not a hindrance.
So true. There's so many tools you can use now too to kind of get away from that in ways that you can kind of bypass. You don't always have to be the face of everything, you know? I,
Yeah.
yeah, I think a lot of people struggle with like exposing themselves in their personal business and stuff like on social media because I'm like that. You
Yeah.
will never find me on Facebook ever. Like I am that person. So I'm like that. And I struggle with just wanting to be on social media. I'm not that person that I don't think I've ever gone live in my life. So, you know what I mean? And I think people also struggle with sales. Like, I don't want to sell anything. I don't want to sell anything and just like pricing and that whole thing. So how do you kind of help um hold people's hand through that process?
Yeah, and I will say I was one of them too. I didn't want to be salesy, right? Like
Yeah,
my background is in education. We are all about serving and giving, and you should always want to give more. So wrapping my head around really understanding that what the best that I could give someone was having them buy my services, right? Because it's one thing for me to help you every once in a while when we get to talk,
yeah,
but there's a completely different relationship when I'm carving out an hour every single week to just be present with you, giving you all of my resources and attention, right? Thinking about you in between calls and giving you resources and guiding you through a process and holding your hand till you get this specific result, right? Like that's very different than whenever we had time, right?
right.
So one, helping first understand that selling is truly serving them the best, when they buy into what you're offering is when you get to help them the most, right? And then having a sales process that really allows them to experience that level of presence and support that you would give them if they were your client. So you're not selling somebody hard to work with you. It's like, no, this is what the relationship would be like. I'm giving you a taste of it. And this is why I offer free consultation calls for an hour. I'm like, I'm not rushing you. If I'm asking you to invest in working with me, I need you to know that I'm here to support you. And this is what the relationship would feel like.
Wow,
Oh,
that's so
that's unheard of.
powerful.
Nobody does 1 hour consultations
Right.
for free.
That's awesome.
That is
It's so
awesome. But
so
I can tell that
powerful.
like you're really genuine and authentic and you
Yeah.
have like a ethical, I'm not just trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Presence with your
Yeah.
business. I really respect that a lot.
It
Yeah.
is
And that,
because yeah, people see through that, and that kind of turns people off. So to see the authenticity and that you're a real person and down to earth, it is
yeah,
powerful. So you know,
I it's a very personal relationship, right? That
yeah,
we're going into. And I'm not, it's not a one-time sale that I'm trying to make. I'm trying to get you to show up every single week so we get that goal that you said you wanted, right? So it
right.
can't just be me selling you hard to get that money and then it's like, okay, well, whatever happens,
That's it.
happens. No, like
I
I
love
really
it.
want to support my clients. And that's why I have so many great reviews at the end of it and so many clients that, refer people and like I have clients that are still friends, right? I'm planning something for my birthday at the end of this month, and I'm like, my clients are some of my friends that are going to be there. So it's like awesome.
Awesome. Happy
Okay, Gemini.
birthday.
Okay.
So shout out to introverts because I'm one for sure.
Me
I
too.
know I had the vision of the podcast probably a few months before the me and April met at a mentorship program, and I actually recorded a video on YouTube, but I wasn't showing my face, and I didn't really give my name either, but I kind of talked about the vision, kind of my voice wasn't different or confident, but you can kind of tell the video still on YouTube and everything. But even April and I's first video, when we first started, you could tell the difference. But shout out to like being consistent and just going for it.
I
It's
love
awesome.
that. Yeah, you
Yeah,
have to let it be messy. I recently
yeah.
found out I apparently am on YouTube as well. I did not know this until two potential clients came to consultation calls and they were like, "Yeah, I saw your videos on YouTube." I was like, "My videos?" I thought it
Nice.
was something like this, where I was like on a podcast and they saw me like that. But no, I have videos on YouTube from way back early in the day when I was doing Facebook Lives and then uploading them on YouTube to share with my email list.
Okay.
So yeah, so this past month I told my VA, I was like, I think we need some thumbnails for these videos because they're there. We're gonna leave them up there because I love showing people how I started. I'm like, this is me in the beginning. Because too often I think we're looking at people's like 100th chapter and we're like, oh my God, that's what I need to have. That's what I need to look like. I need to be that polished. And if I'm not like that, then I'm not doing it right or it's not good enough. It's like, no, no, no. Remember, you got to think of where they started. You're at the beginning. Let people see that part, right? Let it
Absolutely.
be what it is.
This
Yeah.
is real life, real talk, y'all.
Realize. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
I like that you're really connected with your clients as well because I've been in rooms too where they're very non-invested. They get your money and they're just like, here's the content, good luck,
Yeah.
bye. And it's it's discouraging. Like you say, you're kind of scared to go back out there and give somebody else some more money. But it's really like refreshing to see somebody out there, like yourself that is really doing the work and really genuinely helping people and that has the skill set and is not just like, fronting like, oh, I know how to do this and that and this and that. Like you're really like, you're certified, you're licensed, you have the experience, and then you also have the personal experience because you transitioned yourself. So you know what it's like firsthand.
Thanks.
It's twice.
Awesome.
But you made
Twice.
it, girl. You made
It
it.
can be done. It
Yes.
can be done. It can be done.
It can
Yes.
be done. So where can people find you since you floating
I
around on YouTube?
I know. I'm at Genjo Coaching everywhere. So YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And even TikTok. I think TikTok is very informal. It's just like me sharing all the time, all my things. I use it more for fun. But yeah, so if you want to see content about coaching and things like that, definitely find me on LinkedIn.
Love
Awesome.
it.
Awesome. So, for all those introverts that are kind of still in their struggle bus and they're still having those thoughts in their head, they're like limiting beliefs and things of that nature, what kind of advice would you tell them? Like, how would you encourage them to just do it scared, do it
Yeah.
messy, whatever. So
So actually, I created something for those exact people that you're talking about, which is anyone struggling with self-doubt. You can head over to genjo.com/self-doubt, no hyphen in self-doubt, just the words help self-doubt. And I give you exercises and things that you can do, ways to practice building that confidence through taking actual action, right? And reminding yourself of all you've completed in the past and how this is totally normal. It's part of the process. You are worthy of having that vision that you have, but you have to do the work of actually working through that self-doubt instead of ignoring it.
And that's free, just available to people
It's
that visit
free.
your
Yeah.
website. What? We're gonna
Free
have to put
so
download.
that in the
I
description
know for
box.
sure.
Yeah.
You said repeat that website again.
Genjo.com/self-doubt.
Self-doubt. Gosh, I was on the self-doubt struggle bus for a long time, but I'm working through it.
You know what the
That's
double-edged
awesome.
sword with being an introvert that needs help? You don't want to say nothing. You don't want to say
You
anything. You just
don't.
like silently suffer to yourself
Struggle.
and don't say
Yes,
anything,
struggling in silence. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
that's an amazing tool, girl. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
What's your advice for people that are at this 9 to 5 and it is to the point where it's draining, they're not unhappy, they have all these ideas and stuff in their head, but they really don't know which foot to put in front of the other to kind of like get started, like Janice was saying, limiting beliefs. What would you say for that person that's very skilled and just doesn't know what to do?
Start somewhere, right? So the first thing you need to do when you have that full-time job is carve out the time for it. I think that's one of the things people don't prioritize it and they don't make time and they just allow work to fill up all the time. It's like, no, no, no. Work is work. You need to dedicate whatever work hours are required, but then outside of that, when are you dedicating time to figure out what that thing is? And the way we figure it out is we start researching, right? We start seeing what other people are doing. We start talking to people that are doing the things that you want to be doing is the key factor. Too many people want to jump into like career switching just because it sounded good on paper, right? And then they went and got additional certifications or degrees and training and all of this. And then they get the job and they're like, I don't like it. I'm like, you could have
Oh.
figured that out way sooner. You could
Yes.
be testing all
Yeah.
of that by talking to like 5 people that are doing that, right? Whether you find those people on LinkedIn, on social media, another social media platform, watching people that do it on YouTube, right? Talk about the truth behind what the pros and cons are. You want to know what those cons are too. It's not just all wonderful.
Yeah.
To make sure that it's something that aligns, and then definitely, yeah, start taking action. Do it in a small scale. I think getting some practice in is very, very important as soon as possible. Don't wait until you've done all the education and training and everything. Like, no, no, no. Who can you practice on right now?
Get
That is a
after it.
huge, giant gem.
Damn.
Thank you so
Yes.
much for that. So
Yes.
valuable, girl. Thank
It's
you.
about the progress, y'all. So take them steps towards your progress.
Yeah, talk to
Awesome.
people and ask questions and don't doubt yourself. Keep consistent and believe in yourself and keep pushing forward.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you guys so much for
Yeah,
watching.
thank you so much, Jen, for
Thank you
coming
for
on with
coming.
this.
Thank
It's
you
been a
for having
pleasure.
me. It's been fun.
We'd love to have you back in the future for some updates.
Love to share.
Awesome.
Awesome. Everyone have a
Thank you
great
guys.
night. Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Bye.